Sorry, I muted right when you said that. What did you say it is?
Artsy fartsy showcase.
They've already said it's 7 games. They spent a little bit more time with the games they're going to show. Telltale Expanse is in here.
The city is back, and
Stray
it's
Gods.
exciting.
Volcano
it's a fantastic
High,
film festival that really
Highland
gets
Song,
the soul
Despalo.
and the heart of downtown.
Now, what are
New
they
York
like? They're not a publisher or anything, right?
No, Tribeca's a film festival.
It's about the
Right.
vibrance and the culture of New York, and we pull it
So
all
they just pick
together
out
with
games that they
films,
like and say,
games,
"These are the games we
immersive
like."
experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
We share our narratives now differently.
Hey, Nepsy.
There are so many
I
more
gotta change
things
my
that
name.
games can be.
You should, yeah.
Ever since I was
CohhCarnage
a
is
kid,
bad.
I would play video games 24/7.
Every time I wanted to relax, every time I wanted to
I'm
step out
thinking
of the world for a bit.
You know, some people might say, well, go read a
Big
book.
balls
I'm like, I don't want to
with
read a
2
book.
Z.
I want to be
I like it.
in
Big
an
balls for 20.
interactive adventure.
Yeah.
I want to feel like I'm part of the story.
What do you
I am
change your
Julian
name for?
Cordero, and my game is Despelot.
No, I meant my title.
Oh, okay. I see.
Goodbye, Volcano.
But I mean, I should probably change my name too.
Stray Gods?
A Highland Song.
Chants of Senna.
Nightscape.
The Expanse.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to Tribeca Games.
DB.
I must have climbed the hill behind the house.
Are you guys watching on
100 times.
YouTube? Yeah.
I'm watching on Game Awards
I know
on
every
Twitch.
stone.
Okay.
This
But
game's
after
cool.
that hill, there's another. And then another again.
No kidding.
And after all that, then that's the sea. And I've
Well,
never
Cohh,
been
she's
there.
European, so she has to tell
Highland
Americans
Song
geography.
is a narrative adventure game set in the wilds of the Scottish.
I
Highlands.
learned a lot there.
You play as Moira McKinnon. a
Wow,
teenager
that guy's.
on her way
He
to
sounds
the
like
sea
he's
for the
right
first
behind me.
time.
I know. I heard
But
that
get
happened to
there,
me
you're
too.
going to have to find your way through the wild mountains and the valleys. You'll have to survive the weather, and you'll learn a bit about the stories and the history of the Highlands on the way.
As long as there's no knocking.
Inkle is an independent game studio based in the UK, and we specialise in narrative games, so we make games in all sorts of genres, but our main focus is on games that tell really strong stories.
Our most famous game is probably 80 Days,
Oh, I played Overboard.
an adaptation of Jules Verne's classic novel.
The main hook of 80 Days is that you can go around the world any way you like. The way that Highland Song works is extremely similar to 80 Days. You start in one particular point and you can choose all sorts of different routes through the Highlands in order to reach your goal. But it also ends at a single point because you're trying to reach the lighthouse where your Uncle Hamish lives by the sea.
Finding the right gameplay for a game like a Highland Song can be really difficult. Gameplay is usually built around loops and patterns, but good narratives aren't made out of loops. We want to make sure that the character isn't doing anything just for the sake of gameplay, but everything the character's doing has to make sense within the narrative.
So the reason that we've essentially created our very first platforming game is that it just makes sense for the character within this scenario to be jumping and scrambling over rocks. And it even has a rhythm action mechanic. So in many ways, it's the most gamey game that we've ever created.
Moira's platforming abilities in a Highland Song are quite realistic. She has a limited amount of time that she can climb. She gets hurt if she falls too far. She can rest to recover her strength. She gets affected by weather and affected by nighttime and affected by cold. A lot of our mechanics are built around the tension between knowing where you are and being lost. We have a map mechanic, which is all about that. It's about finding little pockets of knowledge, learning the names of peaks and understanding the history of the peaks to help you find your way through this world.
At Inkle, we've always loved hand-drawn 2D illustration. We love how expressive it can be, especially for characters. Even when we made 3D games, we still had 2D characters because we loved the overall effect. I grew up in Scotland. When I was a teenager, I went up into the Scottish Highlands with 3 friends and we got lost and we had to stumble through rivers and bogs. It was really quite a chilling, scary experience. My parents are art historians, and that there was always one painting in particular that they had that I used to love as a child. It had a little ruined castle by a loch and these Scots pine trees and this golden brown colour palette that was just so characteristic of the region. And so going
It's only
for
a model.
really painterly aesthetic was a way to capture that. The more modern take on that is the digital paintings of concept artists such as Paul Scott Canavan, who we worked with on this project. And he came up with this really beautiful way of hand painting rocks and trees and grass and then assembling them as a huge collage, but then all built up so that the overall effect is of a painting coming to life.
When people play a Highland Song, I really want them to come away with a strong sense of
Actually,
the place,
weirdest mic I've ever
the
heard.
Highlands themselves. There's this tension.
I
It
don't know
sounds
how
like it sounds like he's
between
behind me,
being full
like
of
slightly to the
story
left.
and history.
Yep.
I wonder if
and
it's
the
like a
marks left behind by
room mic
people,
or
whether
something
that's
that he has
ruined
positioned.
farmhouses,
He's got his
or
mic
whether
backwards.
that's
Somebody
just
said.
the names attached to the various.
Yeah, it
the
actually
stories
does sound like
behind
it's a
those
Yeti
names,
that's
which
facing
often
the
go back a
opposite
very, very
direction.
Yeah,
long way
kind
indeed.
of.
When I first kind of conceived of the game, I tried to forget everything about what games we'd made as a studio before, what games are out there, and I just tried to imagine what do I want on my
The
Switch
fact
for
that that
me
guy's
to play
two
right
monitor
now.
speakers are
And
not
pretty much a
on the
Highland
same
Song
level is bothering.
as the way it looks and feels popped into my head, and I can't be prouder of what we've created.
That was a pleasant game, I guess.
Yeah, this game Cohh's really excited for.
Oh, this is the furry Rockstar
Cohh is
Apocalypse.
a game studio
Yeah.
that's
Game,
based
right?
originally
Yeah.
in Montreal, but is now remote and worldwide. It is a cooperative.
Furry Life is Strange,
Basically,
that's
that
right.
means that we make
I think
all
it's
major
Scalies.
decisions together. We
Not
decide
furries.
whether we want to work
Oh, Scalies?
4
Hey,
days
look,
or 5
Inky's
days.
moving.
I'm still
in the
learning
background.
my
We
terminology.
decided to do 4 days a long time
What's
ago.
Moomin
We
again?
present concepts when we
It's
are
a-
starting to put together
children's like
and we all work on what
cartoon
we
thing,
think
like
is
in
what everybody would
Finland.
like to work on.
Okay.
And you feel more attached to what you're making because
I'll have to
you
fix that
voted
later.
for it, you chose it.
It was really important for us to feel like this was a different space where people actually could be the voices behind the games that we make.
We are the makers of some charming, fun games like Winding Worlds and Nog and the upcoming Goodbye Volcano High.
Goodbye Volcano High is a cinematic visual novel about dinosaurs in their final year of high school. At the start of the year, they
okay.
find out that a meteor is coming. And the game is about asking yourself, what would you do if you had 1 year left? Who would you be? Who would you want to love? And how would you want to go out?
I
Who
vote
would
yes.
you want to love?
I don't think this is a voting type situation.
I mean, it does kind of belong to all of us. Or it was supposed to.
It does. You did a great job.
So, what do you say, Fang?
We chose dinosaurs for Goodbye Volcano High for a couple of reasons.
Originally, when we presented the game
One,
to everybody else, it was
really
meant
am
to
a scaly.
a dating sim because, like, at the time, this was kind of like the hot thing to work on was dating sims. And then we were like, hold up, here's the hook. It's a dating sim with dinosaurs at the end of the world. As soon as you start talking about
He
a
was so
meteor,
excited
he
about
goes,
that. Look at his
"Right,
face. I love this guy.
Thank you.
He knows what he
You know
likes.
what's gonna happen.
And that was really important to us because we wanted to make
I
something
know.
that could tap
Okay.
into the anxiety of our current
He
times.
looks young.
And dinosaurs was a
Oh my
really
God.
great
He's
way
great.
to create that metaphor
Indoor or outdoor?
instantly.
As it went on and we became kind of more ambitious and more interested in making what we actually like, we were like, what if it's
I get cake?
an
Dude, I got
anime
cinnamon
and we
rolls.
tell a story that isn't necessarily so focused on dating,
Dude, he just
but
keeps throwing
really goes
buzzwords
deep
in.
into the emotional aspects of the end of the world.
So high school already feels like it's the end of the world to most people, so it wasn't really that hard to hone in on the teen angst. It's really the hope that's tricky to encapsulate.
High school to me is all about that sweet, sweet balance of doom and hope.
Hope for the better future, hope for the dreams we chase and the ambitions we strive for. Those are things that can feel impossible to cling to, especially with something that can't be stopped and feels inevitable, like a giant meteor hitting you.
And communities all across the continent reacted to the news of a previously unknown space object this morning.
So, how do you deal with that?
It starts off very joking. They're kind of making gallows humor jokes.
In light of the whole space rock potential demise of civilization thing, my chosen theme feels off.
What's the theme?
Using this year to, make an impact?
Our characters all have different methods of coping. Some double down on their ambitions, determined to accomplish their dreams before it's too late. Others slow down and decide to savor what time they have left, regardless of what their dreams are.
We can still win Battle of the Bands, asteroid or not.
The player character essentially
That
ends
mic
up
was pretty
being the UI, and you end up playing as Fang's inner monologue.
Steve Derrick.
I think this means she's rooting for us?
Go
Music
back
is
to
really
proved.
important in Goodbye Volcano High,
Hey,
and I would actually say music
I
is
would
really
never-
important to our studio and all of our games.
I would not try to
It's
yuck
core
anyone's
to our
yum.
DNA, and
But this
music
is
central to the
so
identity
far
of the
off of
people
my
who
normal
make the
thing.
game, and so it is
It's
central
like
to the
on the
identity
other
of the
side
game
of the planet
itself
that
and
is
the
my
characters
thing.
within it.
Yeah.
There's
If
no
it was
performance
just
in this
dinosaurs,
game that is
dinosaur
separate.
anthropomorphic people playing guitars
It
and like
is
in a band and shit, it'd be like
essentially
Josie and the
the same
Pussycats.
as
That's
having
cool. But like,
scene of
you know,
dialogue, but
they put like a deep story and emotions and stuff in it. That's where it kind of loses me. Like this part would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm a furry, not a scaly chat. You got to get it right. It's a very important distinction.
What type of dinosaur had like angelic wings like that?
Fang is kind of
Archaeopteryx.
gearing up for their future as a musician.
I figured you would
and
know.
then realizing that they may not
Paleontology is your side hobby.
So those two.
It was my
I
minor
think it might
knowledge.
be.
kind of
I think it might be
clashing.
because he has kids, and kids are like, you know, they'll read dinosaur books and come up and tell you dinosaur facts and shit.
Yep. True.
Like, Dad, did you know? that the wingspan
They
of a
actually do that.
pterodactyl
Like
is
100%
huge?
they do that.
I think every
Yeah.
person hopes that they get to be near people they love and who understand them and that love them.
Those are things people can grasp no matter how much time they have left.
I think that this game really encourages people to be brave, to do the brave thing, and love each other and be there for each other, even when it's scary, even when you don't know what's going to happen.
What is this?
Bonjour, je suis Julien.
Bonjour, je suis Thomas.
Nous sommes les cofondateurs de Rundisk et nous sommes ici pour vous parler de Chance of Scénar.
There you go. Chance of Sonar.
Avec Chant of Scénar, nous avons voulu proposer une aventure originale basée sur le mythe de Babel.
On a essayé de vous plonger dans la peau d'un voyageur qui débarquerait dans un pays complètement inconnu.
Tout au long de son ascension, le joueur va rencontrer 5 peuples différents. Chaque peuple a ses propres coutumes, sa propre histoire et évidemment sa propre langue.
Comme chacun de ces peuples parle des langues différentes, ça fait des siècles qu'ils ne se comprennent plus. Une partie du jeu et de l'aventure va consister à comprendre les raisons de cette division et peut-être essayer de rétablir
I'm
l'harmonie
like
dans la
wanting. I'm so torn between reading the subtitles and watching what's going on. I want to watch.
Quand on a compris qu'on voulait travailler sur les langues, on a eu cette idée de s'inspirer de la tour de Babel, parce que c'est un mythe qui est très puissant, qui parle des hommes qui essayaient d'atteindre le ciel en construisant une gigantesque tour. Et ça a déplu aux dieux qui ont
guys,
décidé
he just,
de
Cohh just
frapper une
admitted he's a
malédiction
dubber.
en leur faisant
Get
tous
him.
parler une langue différente.
Oh, I am. Just
Ce
read
qui est
faster.
important et original dans le jeu, c'est que les langues sont des puzzles en soi. Pour nous, un mot c'est pareil qu'un levier, une porte, une clé. On comprend des langues en résolvant des puzzles, et résoudre des puzzles nous permet de comprendre des langues.
Chant of Scénar est avant tout un jeu d'aventure. Au-delà de l'aspect puzzle, le joueur devra explorer l'environnement, interagir avec différents personnages et participer à des scènes
I've
d'action
noticed for
et
games
d'infiltration.
and
Donc on a eu cette
animated
idée
stuff, I don't
de
mind
créer
so
un
much,
héros qui
but for
serait
if it's like
plus un
real life
traducteur,
shit,
un
like I can't
diplomate,
do it. Like I
un
tried
scientifique
Squid
quelque
Game
part,
and
et qui soit dans
that
cette
sumo
démarche de
show,
réconciliation. Le
Sanctuary,
personnage lui-même n'est
dubbed,
pas un
and
personnage
it's
de
just
violence, c'est pas un
ridiculous.
personnage fort, c'est pas un guerrier. Il va s'en sortir, il va trouver les clés autrement
In
par la
terms you-
violence.
you
C'est
can't
important
listen to
pour
it?
nous de montrer ça, puisque quelque part, ce qu'on essaie
Yeah,
de
I
montrer
can't
dans le jeu,
watch
ce
the
qu'on essaie
show
de
and
dire
not
dans le
like
jeu, c'est que la violence n'est pas forcément le
watch
moyen
show and be
de
immersed
résoudre.
if it's dubbed.
Oh,
if it's
You
real
can pet the cat.
people.
Les inspirations artistiques du jeu, elles se trouvent principalement dans la bande dessinée européenne des années 70-80, puis plus tard, on a élargi les inspirations du jeu, on a convoqué le brutalisme, l'architecture mauresque, l'architecture indienne, et c'est ce qui nous a permis de créer ce monde un peu pluriel.
Chant of Scénar est une invitation au voyage, à la tolérance et à l'ouverture sur les autres.
D'ordinaire, les langues étrangères sont vues comme un frein, c'est d'ailleurs pour ça qu'on parle de barrière de la langue. Mais dans Chofs of Scénar, ce contexte est voué à être dépassé, puisque les langues y sont à la fois l'obstacle et la solution. On espère que vous aurez du plaisir à découvrir l'atout, à résoudre ces mystères et à nous aider à réunifier ces peuples.
Et évidemment, nous avons hâte d'avoir vos retours.
Interesting.
Nightscape is a 2.5D atmospheric adventure game where the ancient Arabian night sky loses its light.
You play as Layla, who is an astronomer who just loves to look at the night sky.
As Layla, players wield a magical astrolabe, restoring stars back to constellations in order to seek a path home. A key stellar cast member is the Goat Kid constellation. The Goat Kid decides to accompany Layla in her journey.
These days, people do not know much about constellations and the stories behind them, especially Arabic constellations.
They're different from the Western or the Greek constellations. And so we've had a big research task finding out what those constellations mean, what the backstories are, and finding out how we can turn those ideas into gameplay elements.
I think the Goat
importance
Kid
of the
is
sky
redundant,
is
isn't
having
it?
this sky ground
Goat Kid would mean a baby
having
goat.
Layla
No, I know.
use the
But like,
constellations
a kid is a
abilities
baby goat,
to
so you can just
solve
say the
puzzles
kid.
and help with Layla
Well,
in
but I mean,
defeating
kid has lots of meanings on its own.
The game being 2.5D, you can
It'd be
actually
kind of
walk
weird if
into
they
the
just called
screen.
it the kid.
There's
but
a
it was
lot
goat,
there
right?
that
'Cause then you'd be
allow
like,
them
it's
to
not a
make the
normal
game very
kid. What's going on
cinematic.
here?
No, I'm with Dr. Claw. How about a kid? How about calling it
This
the
is a
kid?
brand new experience for me, building
That's
a
fair.
team from the ground up. We found
Do
an
you
amazing
call
level
it
designer
goat's
in
milk
Nabil
or
and a
goat
coder
milk?
in Idris. And very recently we found a technical artist in Zaki.
Goat milk.
And
I've
those
always said
three are the
goat.
powerhouse
Yeah,
of the
without the
studio.
possessive.
And
I'm glad
I
that you
think
guys
it's
are
really
smart
genuinely
individuals.
amazing that we found those guys who are willing to work with us in
Because it's
Doha.
not the goat's
I
milk,
was
it's
very
my milk
unsure about
that I
the
got
amount
from
of
the goat.
talent for making video games in the Middle
The
East.
type
Well,
of
it's
milk.
I
also
think we
it's
got
also
super
goat milk
lucky
because
finding
it's
the
not
team
from
that we
one
did.
goat.
So is it
For
Zeke
me,
milk or Zeke's
it all
milk?
starts with a story and pictures
That would be Zeke's milk
triggers
because it's
my
from just
imagination.
Zeke.
I have nipples, Cohh. Could you milk me?
Triggered immediately some music.
Yeah,
in my
Zeke's
head.
milk would come out.
Beautiful
I was
Middle
waiting-
Eastern
waiting
melodies
for
to
that.
take them in, the makams, to combine them with harmonies, Western influences as well, that it comes together as a blend.
In my mind, designing sound is a bit like playing with clay, like trying to model this clay, this sound, manipulate, edit, cut. For example, the hook shot is mostly made by a tree branch, the footstep of a scorpion walking, which is a mix of knife and stone. The voice of a scorpion is my voice, actually. And then overly processed. When the
Overly
scorpion
processed.
attack- When the scorpion died, attack, that's my voice.
We're trying really hard to make the game feel magical, particularly the parts where the player is trying to figure out the puzzles.
Being in a country like the Philippines where my hometown had about zero pollution, so looking at the
About zero
stars
pollution.
was one of my hobbies, which is why Nightscape appealed to me a lot.
There's
Have you
about
ever been anywhere
65
like that?
million people
that-
in the MENA
that
region.
guy was
that
describing,
play
like, with
games,
zero
and
pollution or whatever?
there's a
Yeah,
very, very
absolutely.
sparse amount of content
Being from
developed
Montana
within.
and like you
We
drive
wanna
through
push that
Wyoming quite a
boundary,
bit to get
and we want
places,
to create
and
fun
like
and meaningful games with the
a lot
Middle
of
East in
Wyoming is
mind,
like that. There's
utilizing
zero
its
light
culture
pollution
and
or
rich
any
traditions
other
and history
pollution.
to
And the
really
stars, it's just
inspire
crazy
ideas
how
for
many
games
more stars you
going
see.
forward. and ultimately build a bridge towards understanding the Middle East better.
Is the world too much?
Uh-oh, sing-songy time.
Just me. Everything
I need a cinnamon roll.
That's how I deal with my feelings.
Yep.
Everything I've learned wasted on a girl who doesn't know how to be free.
I wonder if you can stream this, if it's all going to be like
The games industry is
DMCA.
always absolutely convinced that we can only be this and this only until someone comes along and proves them wrong.
Wait, is that Kyle
Stray
Gass
Dogs is
from
a
Tenacious D?
role-playing musical where you control a song. You play as Grace, a college dropout who's not quite sure what to do with her life.
A woman living in the modern world who encounters the last of the Greek muses,
Calliope?
who dies in her arms, passes on her powers, and Grace discovers that the Greek gods are alive and well and hidden in the modern world.
We think that Stray Gods kind of appeals beyond just fans of video games. It's a really unique story and a unique experience.
There are so many elements that go into this game to make it special that you can attach to any one of them and have an incredible experience.
Stray Gods is what we call a role-playing musical. It's not really a genre that's ever existed before.
You say you didn't kill Calliope. You have 1 week to prove it. What do I do?
Start singing.
This is a game with branching musical numbers where the key decisions in the story are made in musical numbers that change depending on your choices.
Lost girls, lost girls.
The way that we tackle music is one that people have never seen before. Boarding multiple branching paths that should link up to each other. There's a lot of considerations to factor in. It's very complicated, but it feels very worth it in the end.
Perfectly fine on her own.
We got to work with some of the best, the most talented voice actors in the world, the most talented people on Broadway. Like, what more could you ask for, really?
Being able to work with some champions like Austin Wintory, David Gator, Troy Baker has been nuts.
At the end of the day, it came down to our composer, Austin. He worked
Oh,
with
this
some kind
has,
of
like,
dark magic, and you
all
get it
the
all
big
back,
names.
and you're like, don't know how you transformed that take into this, but it's absolutely amazing.
I hate so much that since that kerfluffle, the first thing I thought of is Troy coming in and be like, yeah, the music is great, but what about NFTs?
Every single character in the game has the potential to be a favorite.
My favorite character is Eros.
I really
It
love
honestly
Aphrodite.
reminds me of that old joke. It's like, see that bridge over there? Do they call me Joe the Bridge Builder?
My favorite
But
character
you fuck one goat.
is, I think, Orpheus. My king, Orpheus.
It's like he did
He's my
that
favorite.
NFT thing
It
for like
used
a
to be
hot
Hermes,
second,
but
and
Orpheus,
no one will
emo
let him
king.
live it down.
Look at me. Who do you think I am? I'm saying Medusa. I am the #1 Medusa fan in the office.
I thought you were saying the
Medusa, and I
juicer, and I
love
was like,
Persephone,
oh,
and I adore
XQC is
Freddy.
huge now, I guess.
But my favorite.
Oh,
I
God.
reckon my favorite character is Freddy.
I'm really going to go against the grain here. My favorite character is Freddy.
Everybody's going to say Freddy, so I thought I'd say someone else as well.
But my favorite. Oh, yeah, I'll say Freddy. But Medusa and Calliope and Persephone. Like, it's really hard. Sorry.
There is a level of belief in the studio in the themes in this game and the stories that it's trying to tell and the people it's trying to involve and the people it's trying to talk to that I haven't seen on a lot of the games that I've worked on in my career.
We've assembled this superstar group of people. It is a Voltron of game development.
Early on, Liam made a conscious effort to make sure that everyone that we hired culturally fit, but also had a conscious effort to make sure that we weren't hiring the same kind of people.
Every single person who came onto this project brought something wholly and uniquely theirs.
It's one thing to be able to hire to have diverse voices. It's also another thing to make sure that those voices are heard. It's just important for us that everyone, one, feels safe enough to share their opinion, and two, diverse enough that many opinions are shared from all sorts of walks of life.
Oh
At
yeah.
the end of
No,
the day,
this
gaming
development
is
crew
about
is all
joy,
boning each other for
and
sure.
I really
This is like my old theater group.
being reminded that making games
Everybody was up each other.
Lost in a moment. Very soon. Lost in a moment. The idols will be no more. Lost in a moment.
Ooh, the Expanse, nice.
Oh, here we go. This looks like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
The Expanse is an exceptional intellectual property in that it's huge.
Stephen
and that the
Frost, where do we know that name
characters
from?
are the forefront of what they are focusing on.
What is so compelling about it
He
is
was
that
the
it
bad
works
guy in the first
several
Blade
different
film.
mediums, right? I mean, we begin with the books.
Are you just making
And then
stuff
I
up at
think
this
what
point?
was so
No, it's
special
close.
about the television show was that it was almost
Wild
like another
Star.
window of looking in at this same
that what it is?
story.
So what's unique about the way that we tell stories is that we give our players agency over the character they're playing, which
I think
basically
he's
means
his
their
half
choices
brother.
shape the overall
Deacon
story,
Frost's
so
half
they're
brother.
actually living
Oh,
in the
it
story as
is.
opposed to just following along with it.
When you're adapting a television property into a video game property,
Oh,
you
wow.
have to think about what the fan
where my
is
Beltaloda's
expecting
at?
and when they're coming into. This takes place years before the first season. We're getting to see the world through Kamina Drummer's eyes. She is a belter, somebody who's out
Drummer.
in deep space and has grown up there, has never set foot on a planet. So her perspective is really different.
It's hard for me to look at these moons without thinking about the other research colonies exploiting all the resources on them and giving nothing to the belt.
I hoped to portray her, especially at the beginning of the video game, as a little bit more vulnerable and open, and to see the
You
events
never heard her
that
talk before?
cause her to
I
harden.
never have.
No.
Series. Bossing everyone around.
I thought she'd be
Only
British.
This time, no dolls to
I
keep you
definitely
on
did.
the leash, yeah?
For some reason, I definitely thought she was British. That's wild. Boom!
Yeah, get him!
A really awesome character like Drummer deserves to have really interesting situations to be put in that
Oh, I'm
fans
definitely
have
planning on
come to
playing this,
expect
yeah.
from the show.
Yeah.
And now it's like they're getting to play an episode of The Expanse, but in video game form. We can do things like put zero G in the game, but we have to think about it from what's a good interaction medium, and changing that from what you may have seen in the show slightly to make sure that it's something that you can rock.
Alisora, they said that
and
this
that
takes
feels
place
good on
before the
sticks,
TV
but
series
that is
does.
also
So if anything, you
representative
could
of what
play
you
this
see in the
first and
show.
then watch the series.
Those characters have really complex issues that they're facing regularly. And in narrative games, we want to give players these gray areas to really think, is this the answer I want to choose, or do I want to choose this answer? And that they both have their upsides and their downsides. And so the Expanse is perfect for that.
Drummer, his suit is punctured and losing pressure. You need to release the vault and patch him now or he could die.
Belay that. That vault has O2, fuel, armaments. We can't afford to lose it.
It was a really interesting challenge to,
Oh, I
to come at
definitely
the same
couldn't play golf.
character in a completely different medium.
Deck 9 is a video game studio. We are known for our narrative, our characters, and our motion capture technology.
It's a completely blank white room. You've got some tape on the floor, maybe a few things made out of wire to show where a door frame might be or something like that, but otherwise it's pure imagination.
I assume you didn't come here to talk about crystals.
We have a new target.
What is it this time, El Dorado? The Fountain of Youth? Let me guess. The Falcon Horde of Venus?
The UNN Urshanabi. Cap believes there's something valuable on board.
Something that we are really excited for people to experience in the Expanse of Telltale series is the emotional performance that we're getting from our actors that comes through with our technology, and from our animators that really bring out the personality in these characters.
I work for you, but you don't own me.
Believe me, I'm well aware.
Just want to make sure you're not having second thoughts about our deal.
Oh, come on. We're equal partners. We pay the crew, the costs, and the overhead.
The rest is 50-50. You and me.
I mean, that's the joy and the beauty of a job like this, is that I get to play.
We're hoping that you
Got a
form
croissant.
these bonds with these characters, and that they are something that you carry with you after you're done playing the game.
Did you
and
say
you're
you
thinking
got a
about it later. That,
croissant?
to me,
I
is always a
did.
testament of
Oh.
good storytelling. Is am
It's
I
buttery
thinking
and
about
flaky
it
and delicious.
long after I experienced the game itself?
I haven't had a croissant in a while.
So good, dude.
Does it have anything in it, or just like
Yeah,
normal
joy
croissant?
and good vibes.
No chocolate or anything?
Doesn't need it.
Is this Coke Media rebranded? No, they're showing gameplay on this, so no.
Yeah,
I'm Julian Cordero,
this is always
and
well
I'm the lead
produced.
developer and programmer in Despelote.
And
Despelote is a
slices
game
of
about
life,
soccer,
apparently.
and it's a slice of life adventure game set in 2001
fuck?
when Ecuador
Speak
was
of the devil.
really close to qualifying to the World Cup for the first time. Everybody was incredibly excited about this moment, and you see it through the eyes of an 8-year-old kid kicking a ball around with your friends in the park.
¿Vamos a jugar?
When I was growing up, I played a lot of soccer. In Ecuador, the culture of soccer is very big.
feel like-
if you're a boy and you're not playing soccer, it's like hard to make
My
friends. A lot
dumb
of, like,
human
my
brain just
best
saw that
friends I
gameplay
made
and thought they were playing
through
Odd
playing
Job and
soccer.
GoldenEye.
Then when I moved to the US, I wasn't really watching or playing soccer for a few years. That sort of made me like take a step back from it. I sort of like realized this, and I was like, oh, like this had such a big role in my life. I wanted to make this game to sort of like figure out what it was that was really interesting about soccer growing up. When I started making the game, the first thing I focused on was this like relationship with the ball and like making the ball like this physical object that you're kicking around. More than like creating like a soccer match, I knew that I wanted to just like your relationship with the ball and like how that sort of then relates to your environment. Immediately was thinking, okay,
Have they
what
said the
should it
name of the
look like?
game yet?
And
think so.
there was this artist and musician,
Despote, I
Sebastian.
think is
I really
what they
liked
said.
his work.
My name is Sebastián Balbuena, and I am in charge of the art in Despelote. That includes 2D
Despelote.
animation, 3D modeling, and also the music. This is actually the first video game I have ever worked in.
I knew the game was going to be in 3D because I wanted the game to be like feel very physical and this like the physical connection with the ball.
We wanted to find a graphic style that could communicate emotions, and we found that the 2D hand-drawn
Not Despacito.
animation was the best way to do that.
Alexa,
Desperado.
play
Developed, like, the art style sort
Despacito.
of around like his previous work and his style. Sort of
Is that a real
feels very
person?
nostalgic to us to have these like backgrounds with this like very grainy aesthetic. That was just very important to have that dynamic.
Kinda
The
looks
background
like it.
being
Whoa,
so
look
noisy,
at the dog.
the characters being so
Everyone moves
like
so
hand-drawn
fast.
and like so clean. As soon as like I was like, okay, well, what's the setting for this game? Like the only really idea I had was like where I have played soccer in my life, which is in Quito. That's where the game sort of had to be set. It
Yeah, this
became really
game is
important
not
for us to,
streaming
like,
friendly
capture
at all.
Quito in a way that was like
Yeah,
very
dude.
true to us. So we're using a lot of pictures, and the buildings are all real buildings.
Aquí se ve toda la ciudad.
Some of the voices are from people that we knew. We wanted to have the same feeling that you get when you listen to people's conversation in the street. So that's why we went with the improvisation for the dialogue.
It's all improvised, really. We like approached a lot of friends and family in Ecuador. The parents are played by my own parents, so there's an interesting dynamic happening there as you run around as a kid. The scene we set is it's 2001. Ecuador is just coming out of this big economic crisis, and there's this idea we can qualify to the World Cup, and that's like really exciting. And it's been great because I think it's bringing in a lot of this like sort of communal understanding of the moment. So my parents aren't really big soccer people, but the excitement of qualifying to the World Cup was so big that even they were really excited about it.
Oiga, ya está jugando el Ecuador, vamos a ver. Todo el mundo está hablando de que este sí hay chance.
Capturing this moment in time was important because I think for my generation, the first time we qualified to the World Cup, it sort of meant like, oh, Ecuador is a tiny little country, but all of a sudden we were like in the world stage and we were like playing against Italy and like we were like.
What's the
in
name of this
big
game?
newspapers,
Despacito.
and that felt like a really big thing. Pelota in Spanish means ball. And despelote is sort of a saying that people have. It's like, esto está hecho un despelote, is like, this is a mess. So it's sort of like a play on words, like ball and like mess. We're growing up with this idea of si se puede, which is what the people chant to the soccer team, which means, yeah, we can do it. Si se puede and si se pudo, like we can do it and we already did it. Like that's not something my parents were able to like grow up with. People like grasp onto it so much, and I think it like really gave a lot of people so much hope. And I think for me, like that being like one of my earliest memories, it sort of made me grow up thinking like, oh yeah, like yes, we can. I hope that people really enjoy just running around in Quito. I think we've built it in a way that is
Could have also
based
gone with
on
Roy
a lot of our
Kemp.
memories.
I was gonna say Jamie Tart.
I was gonna say
Jamie
Michael
Tart
Jordan,
directly
but-
one-to-one. It's more of like a fuzzy memory.
That
And
also
I hope
works?
that feels very like transportive for people, and they can experience what this moment in time in Ecuador.
For me, it was a mix.
And how I felt.
A toss-up between Michael Jordan or Elton John.
Both famous footballers.
Football is life.
Yep, I think that's it.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's
Short and
everything?
sweet.
Yep. If you live in New York, you can go play demos.
Oh.
Oh, 47 did work on that.
Dang. Okay. All right. You're good.
That's the old Tribeca film. That's it for today, too. There's not
So-
much else today.
Yeah. Tomorrow we start with Future Play Direct at 11.
There's a
Wholesome
lot. Yeah.
Direct at 12. Future Games
Yep.
Show at 1. OTK at 2.
Yep. That's
I think
it.
that's it.
That's 4.
We got like a 11 to 3 tomorrow.
Is the OTK Games Expo only an hour?
Oh, I mean, maybe longer. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought the Future Game Show usually lasts more than an hour too, but
Yeah. I wonder if the future of play will lead into the Wholesome Direct. I think it usually does.
Yeah.
Wasn't the OTK thing like 2.5 hours last year?
Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
was pretty
But that-
long.
I mean, it's a great time for it at the end of the day. So or at the
Yeah,
end of the
yeah.
the end of the lineup. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We'll see you guys tomorrow then, bright and
yeah,
early.
for sure. I will see you guys in a little bit. And yeah, thanks for the fun. See you guys tomorrow.
Yep. See ya.
All right, friendos. I am gonna go get some lunch, hang out with my family, chill for a bit, and then I'm gonna be back tonight, probably around 6:30, and I think we're gonna start with the Wizard with a Gun demo, or the Lies of P demo. One of those is gonna happen.